Hello, boys and girls. I am happy to join you again for another reading lesson. So, all week we've been talking about author's purpose, and you've probably noticed, even with your reading A to Z assignments, that there's always a question or an activity about the author's purpose for writing a book. So, I want to review that there's three main reasons that an author would write a book: to entertain, to inform, and persuade. So you've been choosing this week what the author's purpose was in writing their book. To entertain means to amuse us. Maybe it's to make us laugh or even cry or think, but it's just to have fun and enjoy the reading. To inform is to give us facts and information about a topic. And a lot of the books you read this week were informational books. And the purpose that the author had for writing the book was to inform you about a topic. And finally, persuade. Persuade means that the author is trying to make you think like they do or convince you to do something or to take action. And so that's a really interesting purpose for writing. Now, authors can have more than one purpose. Sometimes they inform us while they entertain us. So it could be a funny story that tells us new information, or maybe they give us information while they're persuading us to take action or to do something or to think a certain way. So an author can have more than one purpose for writing a book. And today I'm going to read you a story called The Snail and the Whale. It's a really fun book. In fact, it might be on my top 5 favorite books, just the way it's written and how cute the story is. So I want you to be thinking as I read it to you, what do you think the author's purpose was for writing this book? Was it to entertain us, inform us, or persuade us? Or was there more than one purpose that he had? Okay? So this is called The Snail and the Whale by Julia Donaldson and illustrated by Axel Scheffler. This is the tale of a tiny snail and a great big gray-blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. As she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny snail. These are the other snails in the flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with the itchy foot, Be quiet, don't wiggle, sit still, stay put. But the tiny sea snail sniffed and sighed, then cried, I've got it, I'll hitch a ride. This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail that looped and curled and said, Ride wanted around the world. Look there. The snail made a message on the black rock with her trail, her silvery trail that she leaves behind. Ride wanted around the world. This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright, a humpback whale immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral waves, and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out of the starlit sea and said to the snail, Come sail with me. Look at the snail. Is he gonna get, or is she gonna get onto the whale? This is the sea, so wild and free, that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to towering icebergs and far-off lands. Look at the snail on the tail of the whale. with fiery mountains and golden sands. These are the waves that arched and crashed and foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. These are the caves beneath the waves where colorful fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swim past the whale and the snail on his tail. This is the sky so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. And she gazed at the sky, the sea, and the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand. She gazed and gazed, amazed by it all, and she said to the whale, "I feel so small." But then came the day the whale lost his way. These are the speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with her ear-splitting roar, making him swim too close to the shore. This is the tide slipping away. And this is the whale lying beached in a bay. "Quick! Off the sand! Back to the sea!" cried the snail. "I can't move on land. I'm too big," moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then, "I've got it!" she cried, and started to crawl. "I must not fail," said the tiny snail. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, "Sit straight, don't talk." This is the board as black as soot, and this is the snail with the itchy foot. "A snail, a snail!" The teacher turns pale. "Look," say the children, "it's leaving a trail." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail saying, "Save the whale." These are the children running from school, fetching the firemen, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. This is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting, "Hooray!" as the whale and the snail travel safely away. Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said, "How time's flown, and haven't you grown?" And the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves, and of how the snail, so small and frail, with her looping, curling, silvery trail, saved the life of the humpback whale. Then the humpback whale held out his tail, and on crawled snail after snail after snail. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the gray-blue humpback whale. The end. I hope you enjoyed that book as much as I do. I just love the rhyming words, I love the pictures, and I love the story that it tells about the brave little snail that was willing to go out into the world and explore and be brave. And then also, even though she was small and tiny, she helped the big blue whale. She helped save him. Isn't that cool? I love that story. All right, so let's talk a little bit about author's purpose. What do you think the author's purpose was in writing this book, The Snail and the Whale? If you said to entertain, I would have to agree with you. It is very entertaining. It has rhyming words, beautiful pictures, and it describes the ocean and all the places that they visit very well. It makes me smile, it makes me laugh. If you said to persuade, I would agree with you too, because I think it really persuades me to think about taking care of the environment and thinking about how our actions as humans affect whales and the ocean. So I think that the author might have been trying to persuade us a little bit here too, to think about protecting our environment and taking care of the creatures of the sea. So, as you can tell, the author's purpose can be more than one thing. It can be to entertain, inform, persuade, or maybe a little of each. So, as you read, I want you to be thinking about what the author's purpose is. Why did the author write this book? Was it just to entertain us? Was it to give us information? Was it to inform? Was it to persuade? Every time you read a book, I want you to be thinking about the author's purpose because it'll help you as a reader to understand what you're reading. All right, boys and girls, have fun completing your seesaw assignments today, and I'll see you back here again soon.